Hi, it's Kim. I have a blooming snake plant. I found buds when I was putting away my Christmas decorations at the end of December, and they just burst out onto the scene. I was so surprised. I've never ever had a snake plant that bloomed. Now you can see I have a very tall plant here. It measures from the soil level about 40 inches tall, which is 100 centimeters. Now mine is the Zeylanica type variety. There is the Laurentii, which has yellow margins on the leaves, but it's sort of like a lily looking flower. It has the stamens sticking out from that middle portion of the flower, and there are nectar droplets that you can see on it. I'm sure if it was planted outside it would attract a lot of pollinators. You can grow these outside. I did take some cuttings last summer, planted them outside. They do wonderfully. They grow so fast outside. Didn't bring those in, but this one has stayed inside the whole time since I've owned it. I'll reference an old video where you can see where I purchased it. It was a shorts video. It's just a minute long. I'll show you that one. But you can see how pretty they kind of look, like a candelabra with little tubes, and in each of the little tubes kind of burst out into a fireworks. Again, mine's the kind of a gray, green, dark gray plant. Now you can see some of those new growths there that is more green. That's probably where it's getting a little bit more light. I have it situated here near a sliding glass door here in the back, and it gets a lot of light. It casts a real sharp shadow. That's kind of how I tell. I explain more about that on the blog. But you can see back in there those candelabras. One of the blooms was buried deep inside, and I would have to part these swords just to even see it. But they were very, very interesting blooms to see on a snake plant, which I would never ever expect to bloom. Again, this is completely indoor plant for me, and I put the measurements on it about 44 inches tall. I think it has grown several inches since I originally purchased it. But it is a pretty plant. I had it in a darker area of the family room, one of the corners that's across from this area, but I did, after a couple months, move it to the lighter area. That may or may not have stimulated it to bloom on its own. But I do feel that there's quite a bit of new growth. I do have some scarring on the leaves, and I think that may have been from the move, where they may have gotten jostled, or they say if there's a split down the leaf, it could be from overwatering. And I do have a couple of splits, but again, since I bought this from a nursery a few years ago, it could have been overwatered then, because I am one that kind of tends to, I would call it underwater. I don't water this but about every 4 to 6 weeks, and it is a struggle to water it. I have a cash pot underneath there that is its nursery liner that sets in, so I have to kind of carry it. Takes 2 people, it's so heavy, to carry it over there into the kitchen. Don't look at my kitchen, it's not cleaned up. Didn't do that before I made the video, but I have to move it. I set the inner pot down into the sink, and I just use the sprayer just to basically hose it down as if it were outside. That kind of rinses a lot of the dust and everything. You can wipe down the leaves with a paper towel, and this one does need that, every 4 to 6 weeks. It gets quite dusty here in the house, but I really think this is a beautiful plant. I'm thrilled to death to have the blooms, and maybe that'll never ever happen again to this plant, but I sure enjoyed them when they were here. Now you can see this is that east-facing window. I did change the table, put a bigger table over there because this pot is so big it dwarfed that tiny thing that I had it on at first. But the flowers on it, mine did not seem to have any color at all except the creamy tinted green color that you see. I don't know if you would designate that as a white bloom, but it didn't have any kind of a color that I could notice. They lasted from where those buds had first come out at the end of December. They lasted all through January, and it was just about the first week of February that they started to fade, and you could tell they were turning a little bit brown and drying up. There's a little tiny bit of evidence there that you can see of it starting to dry up, but I've got some further pictures that show it getting more dry. And be sure to check the blog post. I have quite a bit more pictures over there. There's new growth coming in. I don't know if that's stimulated from it blooming, that now it wants to set out more buds or more swords. So we'll have to see what that is. I'll keep an eye on it. That's a new leaf, that lighter green right there. But the plant is very, very pretty. It's still sturdy and strong. And again, I don't water but every 4 to 6 weeks for this size, and I do get it soaking wet. I just feed it, maybe twice a year with a little bit of cactus fertilizer, and it's very, very diluted. But that's how it looks. That's how close to the window it is. And you can see how those flowers now are starting to dry up. They just look a little crinkled and start to kind of collapse inward. I have a lot of snake plants. I have the moonshine. I have the cylindrical. I'm going to kind of keep an eye on those because I'm kind of anxious for all those to bloom too. Not that I would ever expect it again. This is like my miracle for this decade, I guess. But I was anxious to make a film so that you could see this and see what it looks like. That looks like some kind of a new growth. It could be a leaf or it could be a spire of a new bloom. Who knows? But I guess I'll find out. I'll put some follow-ups on the blog if any of those turn into another bloom. I'll let you know. But these are really nice plants to have. No care. You can neglect them. You don't have to do anything. Water them every 4 to 6 weeks when you can reach way down into the soil and it's very, very dry. Now, if you get a bigger specimen, be forewarned. These large pots are very, very heavy once they're watered. But thanks for watching. I appreciate you visiting the channel and look forward to you coming back again for more videos. See you next video.